Everybody hates parasites. They're those organisms that live at the expense of others without serving any benefits to their host. If you think carefully, you might be able to identify one or two people like that. However, the most disgusting thing about the kind of parasite I want to tell you about today is how it sneaks into your body system through your feet. Did you know that hookworm infection is one of the most parasitic infections in the world? According to the Center for Disease Control and Prevention, or CDC, an estimated 576 to 740 million people in the world are infected with hookworm. Amazingly, hookworms have a lifespan of about 18 years and can live in the human body anywhere between 3 to 10 years. It's pretty scary. Even scarier is the fact that the infection can be transmitted from mother to child during pregnancy, through an infected placenta, at childbirth, or through infected mammary glands. In fact, studies have shown that hookworm infection can have a negative impact on the reproductive life of adults. According to research, hookworm-infected women would have 3 fewer children than uninfected women during the course of their reproductive lifespan. If hookworm infection has these kinds of dire consequences, then I think we should talk about them a little bit. So before I talk about the funny business of boring holes in your feet, let me give you some background on the hookworm parasite. Hookworm is a parasitic worm that inhabits the intestine of humans and animals. Because of its hooked mouthwash, it's able to attach itself to the walls of the gut and puncture blood vessels to feed on the blood of its host. Normally, this blood-feeding parasite causes a kind of infection known as helminthiasis. This infection is usually rampant in communities and societies where poverty, poor hygiene and sanitation, and an overall lack of adequate water supply prevail. Hookworms have a well-developed head in terms of their physical build, coupled with 2 pairs of teeth. This hook-shaped physical structure is where its name is derived from, but it's also how they attach themselves so well to their hosts. So, how do these blood-sucking parasites infect humans and get into their body system? Well, I'm glad you asked. You see, at the larval stage, hookworms can't withstand direct sunlight, hence they need warm and moist soil of about 18 degrees Celsius to hatch. The result of having any other kind of conditions apart from this means death for the larvae. Now get this, the hookworm larva has 3 stages. Scientists have called them L1, L2, and L3 stages. At the L1 and L2 stages, hookworm larvae are at their non-infectious stages, which is referred to as the rhabditiform stage. At this stage, they feed on faces and microorganisms from the soil. This period will usually take about 7 days, after which they move into 3rd stage larvae. The 3rd stage is known as the phylariform stage. This stage is a non-feeding stage for the larva, but is also the infectious stage. Although other species of the hookworm, like the A. duodenale, can infect orally, the major way of infection for the hookworm is through skin penetration, most especially through the foot. This is even more so for barefoot walkers. Once there, larvae successfully break through the skin and get into the body system, where they travel through the circulatory system to the lungs, and then up the trachea, where they're coughed up and swallowed, and this is how they make their way into the small intestines. And after reaching the guts, they then graduate into stage 4, L4, which is the adult worm. Penetration to maturity in the intestine usually occurs between 5 to 9 weeks. Usually, the first sign of hookworm infection in humans is an itching skin and/or rashes, and this will be followed by other symptoms depending on whether it's a light or heavy infection. These symptoms may include abdominal pain, diarrhea, loss of appetite, weight loss, fatigue, and anemia in children. You may also notice a significant effect in their physical and cognitive growth. However, One way to determine for sure if this is a hookworm infection is through a fecal analysis to identify the hookworm eggs. Despite how scary a hookworm infection might sound, it can be prevented for humans. As I said before, the primary channel hookworm infects humans is by boring holes in your feet. Barefoot walking is a big way by which this happens, so it's only wise to avoid skin-to-soil contact as much as possible. Another way to prevent hookworm infection is by making sure we have a good sewage system that takes proper care of human feces. Since human feces carries lots of eggs from the adult hookworm to the gut, avoiding the use of human feces as plant fertilizer can help prevent infection. Oh, and by the way, an adult hookworm can lay as much as 25 to 30,000 eggs per day. Another way to prevent hookworm infection is to ensure that you wash your food and cook them thoroughly before eating. Washing your vegetables and other raw food will ensure that you get rid of some dangerous organisms and likely hookworm eggs that might have been picked up from the soil in the farm. Washing your food and cooking properly ought to be a healthy hygiene practice to keep us safe from dangerous infections anyway. Also, remember to treat your pets regularly for hookworm. You need to do this because hookworm can be transferred from pets to humans as we carry them on our bodies or interact with them on a daily basis. In addition to the aforementioned, sterilizing your lawns with sodium borate is also a good way to prevent hookworm infection. But finally, and most importantly, is public health education. I personally think that the level of public health education, especially concerning infections like this, is not enough specifically in poor and developing nations. In the early 1900s, when hookworm infection was ravaging the American South, and there you have it, the deadly hookworm parasite that bores holes through your foot. I hope you enjoyed watching this video as much as I enjoyed making it for you. Now it's time for me to jet. But before I go, let me know if there are any deadly viruses that you would like me to cover in the future by commenting in the section below. And, as always, thank you very much for watching. And if you're new to the channel, then please hit that subscribe button and turn on the notification so that you'll be the first to know when our next video drops. See you next time.